G'day punters, back for part two. First question here is from Peter, who's aka Seminole Bingo.
Yeah, he's pretty active on Twitter. He's pretty good, yeah.
Thanks, Peter. I thought the Caulfield Carnival was down in quality in 2017, especially the feature races. Through the Guineas is generally overhyped for a stallion-making race. Your views? How the track played, and did that impact? I say yes. Are the Blue Jackets a boon for layers, not Appleby? Gaybot's stronger to the line 9 times out of 10. Look, I mean, all stables go through periods of variance, and one could argue that the Godolphin stable, as far as the James Cumming operation in Australia, may well be in one on the negative side. But
yeah,
I
infancy, but yeah,
it's in its infancy, and I think that you got to also understand the prices of the horses you're looking at.
Yeah,
and you got to look at the situations. You know, sometimes luck has something to do with it. The in-run has something to do with it.
Well, Kementari, I've never seen one more home in my life in the Caulfield Guineas. You know, like, and then if he wins that race, do you say, well, he's going okay? The horse thing I was on for my life, what's it called in the 1,000 Guineas? Elise, she's won the flight, gone down there as an afterthought. Tracks against her. Don't really know what old mate was doing on it.
Stealing money at 5 to 4.
Yeah, well, I was on for 7 to 2 for the national, and then didn't lay out because that's not my go. No cash out or no fold or no nothing, yeah. And also the inside's on fire. They absolutely walked. You're out of business there. So you can make excuses for a lot of their horses. Hartnell's had a lot of preps. I don't know whether he was at his best this prep. A lot of people are pretty critical. It's a bit early to go off.
It's a bit early to go off, I think.
Yeah, and Gay's horses, like you watch that. I thought half of her horses were slaughtered at Caulfield the other day and still won just because of how strong that bias was. You know, like Pinot looks, she's favourite for the Oaks, I think. Oh no, she's not. Eloisa will be, but Pinot's hard in the betting. Yeah. But the great horse, Global Gamma, sat outside a pretty slow tempo with the bias helping. There were, her horses are just in the right spot more than his. You know, his horses have to have a few things go their way because of their pattern usually.
They make their own luck.
Yeah, so if her horses are, superior, I'm not saying they are, they're going to win 9 times out of 10 because of where they race and how they race, and that's it, and the way the tracks have been playing. You know, his horses always need that ounce of luck to overcome the way they're trained, and which gives them longevity and allows them to race be more adaptable usually as a stable. So there's pluses and minuses, but I wouldn't be completely off James Cummings or the Blue Jackets just yet. Even though that horse is drawn gate 1 on Saturday, Viridine, another horse that I'm all in on. And I was just talking to Timmy the other day. I'm like, the only reason the way this horse is just not immoral, I thought. I didn't realise there was going to be 20 runners. Was if it draws gate 1 down the straight. Fucking gate 1.
They'll probably come up the middle, won't they?
Oh, I heard a thing. I missed it. I think it was Darren Potter actually. I think he sort of said outside in were both
in the straight races.
Yeah, so outside and inside were both superior to up the middle. So it could be interesting with 20 runners in the Dale. Like, it looks a great race. Yeah. I'd say they will by the look of it. Yeah, especially with the field size, they probably have to.
In terms of Charlie Appleby, he's a brilliant trainer, and obviously part of the Godolphin team internationally. He's very dangerous first up.
Yeah, like that Kiwi's one.
Kiwi, Folkeswood.
Yeah, and he came out and ran well. He's incredible. I wish he was backing up Kiwi because it was my last chance to get Timmy on a horse. But he seems to not make very poor decisions, and his horses show up ready to go. So
they do indeed.
Charlie Appleby's a freak.
Caulfield, the track, 21st of October, massive on-pace advantage and bias towards the rails and run. 18th of October, even, pretty much, and 14th, rails and run was an advantage. But
that was Everest Day. That was Elise Day, wasn't it? That was the day the 101 shot got up the fence and won the Caulfield Guineas, and Eloisa sprinted up the fence, and obviously she was just a ridiculous price in hindsight, but she was in the right spot.
So that's how we saw that play. The next one is from Ben, who's one of our clients, my clients anyway. Hi Paul and John, enjoy the show, keep up the good work. How do you go about lining up international horses during big carnivals when doing the form? Okay, so a couple of tools. I look at the ratings that I've got from a speed point of view only.
So where do you get? You're getting them off times?
Well, par times. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've got par times for the UK and a lot of the overseas runners, but that only gives us a speed angle.
Yes.
Okay, but it gives us an idea of ability. We look at the profile of the trainer and typically, what type of horses come here from Europe and where they come from and which stables they come from. So Charlie Appleby, first up in a, was it Geelong Cup or whatever it was?
The other day,
Whatever that race was, Folkeswood.
Yep. Before that. I think it was a Geelong Cup,
Whatever it was.
Yeah, great ride.
That was always a horse that we wanted to be with, and we tipped it through our work on Betfair. Kiwi was another one. So it depends on the situation. If they have had any trials here, obviously you get a bit of a feel.
Like that Marmello the other day, you just had the feel it was here for a barrier trial. Whereas if Charlie Appleby or someone had it in the race, you'd probably take it more seriously. But those sort of stable, you can normally work it out.
What are the target races? Who are they booking the ride? Exactly. So all those sort of things. But at the end of the day, you can have a feel, you can have a good idea of the numbers, and you can have an idea of whether you want to be with it or not be with it. But the market is going to give you a good idea on those runners.
It is. But it definitely helps, and then closer to the event, the better, obviously, again. But you can use replays and things like that are so well.
You can find stuff on
easy
YouTube.
to find now. YouTube. You can get on the racing.com, Racing Post or something. It's not too hard to track most of these down and make up your own opinion of them. Anything like what
I get a lot of the UK stuff done for me anyway, as far as the tapes go. So I get access to a lot of that vision. So it makes it a lot easier. New Zealand 3-year-olds, especially the 3-year-olds coming over for the Oaks and those types of races.
Yeah, well, I tend to find their form because it's only such a short flight compared to there's so many less variable. You nearly treat them like locals. I nearly do the New Zealanders, whereas.
Well, if anything, a little plus.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially
in the distance
races.
If they're sprint races.
Yeah, well, their grounding's
probably
not so strong by the time they get here. It's not as if they usually show up first up anyway.
No.
But they're not easy to line up. Is probably the answer. And the market is usually pretty good. You want to be finding. Want to be pretty keen on something to be going too wide, but. I find them really hard to line up, especially from a Melbourne Cup perspective, and so many people now just pen the horses that are running there first up. And this year I probably want to have a much better look at the horses that are going there directly, because so many people now listen to these other and just, for something to happen, what is it, Vintage Crop or something, might have been the only one. So
eventually it's going to happen.
Well, it's going to happen, and I think the quality of the race is so far down that it's going to be easy to do. It's just like...
Possibly.
Yeah, you're just looking at that Caulfield Cup. We weren't even going to talk about the Melbourne Cup, but I looked at the Caulfield Cup and just like, well, if anything comes out of this race and wins the Melbourne Cup, how bad's the Melbourne Cup going to be?
Well, they're all talking about
probably, it was probably the one exception, because it was a barrier trial.
It was a barrier trial.
And it had things against it.
It had things against it, but it had things helping it, i.e. the sectionals.
Yeah, that's right.
So how much weight do you give to the run? How much weight do you give to the sectionals in terms of the takeoff?
So I think it's a pretty open race this year, and I'd be very open to finding a horse that I wouldn't be penning everyone that was first up in there without checking them out strongly.
Yeah, so if you're wanting my analysis on the next week on the Melbourne Cup, Oaks and Emirates, I'll be doing that for Betfair on Betfair Hub.
Oh, would you? Probably.
People can have a look at that if they want to.
I'll be giving it to my mother and father and all the people that I normally give it to.
That ring you and all your tips.
That's right.
In terms of Blue Jackets, by the way, I'm just thinking back to when All the Good won the Caulfield Cup.
Yes. Yes.
I had a really good win on it that year, and it had some really good numbers coming in from overseas, and maybe luck was on my side. But
well, they were a little less underplayed too. The foreigners coming in, then you would get. The market missed them a bit, whereas now they're pretty honed in.
About 50-1, I think I averaged, and I was making a lot of noise in the stand that day. I was on course, and it was a good result. What
was the horse that buried the first one that buried me? Was Give the Slip, when it kicked about 10 in front in the Melbourne Cup, and old mate rolled back to the fence, and Ethereal come down there. So I was making plenty of noise that day two, but more like I was, the ambulance was required. Yeah,
for you or
for me? It was the same sort of price, Godolphin as well, I think. And,
oh, there you go.
There's always a bad story for a good one.
And the end, a bit of Ben's question, which is pretty much what we've already answered, was regarding track bias. Do you have any advice on how to determine if the bias is pace or track related, and how this relates to a horse's performance? Well, if a horse has been advantaged you're looking at ratings, you need to take off for that. You need to, if you're using that rating, you need to say to yourself, okay, well, I need to discount that by a certain element. How much is obviously up to the individual. Everyone's going to have a different idea. Even bias, everyone's going to have a different idea. There are ways and mechanisms to identify bias. I don't want to share too much about that in terms of how we do it. Everyone's got their own method, but
the one secret to give up is the actual versus expected.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you've got no opinion over the price, I use my prices to sort of think how I thought they'd run. If you just want to use the market prices and say, well, this horse, like the favourite sat here, did it have its chance in the race? What was there a pace against it? Was there maybe? And so you're trying to sort of discount the reasons why it ran well or didn't, each horse in the race, and you'll normally work out a bias, or whether it was bias, whether it was pace effect that way.
Without going into too much about the actual process I go through, I will tell you that I use the Verify Race Day Track Condition tool in our database, Access database, and input the times as they become available, the official times that is.
Yeah, I need to learn how to do that. Yeah,
I can show you.
Yeah.
Just as you'll show that fella how to do markets from.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think yours will be quicker than mine, but anyway.
But it's a great tool, and it helps me often identify the pattern that's different to just what you're seeing.
Yeah,
you might see the first 2 or 3 leaders win, and everyone goes, "Oh, leaders."
Well, I put something up last night saying, what's the horse called? Black on Gold on Saturday. It's come up really short. It's got a rider change. There are a few things I thought were strange, and I reckon everyone was potting it last week because they were like, it doesn't handle a wet track, doesn't go any good in a wet track, and they went quick. It come home behind into Lockiter, and I had a quick look last night and it wasn't a wet track, right? I think you had it changed. Well, I think it was a 6 and your system said it was a 4.
Yeah.
So this week it's 290 to 220. I'm tipping it's very strongly because everyone thinks it performed on a wet track. It's going to get a good track this week, which is not a certainty either.
Yep.
And that's,
so that might be able to play.
Yeah, things like that are so good. Things that are in the mainstream are overplayed. Quickly.
So often the obvious is.
Yes.
So have a practice at looking at the pace shape of the races, Ben, and use that as a guide to determine.
Well, that gives you what happened what should have happened in the race, and then
and look at the patterns around it.
Yes.
Look for the horses that are outperforming that shouldn't be.
Yeah. So that's right. A horse runs on against a slow pace down the outside, and it was 20 to 1. Maybe down the outside, there's a big chance. Yeah.
But maybe it was a really good run.
Yeah, so you can't
you can't just discount.
That's right, because of one or two.
Because of one or two.
That's right.
You need the evidence to suggest.
Yeah, the more the better.
Okay, so we're going to get into the preview now of the Maya Classic first of all, followed by the Derby, and then the
Kentucky Derby.
Canalina Stakes, or the Kennedy Mile, or whatever they're calling it now.
So you're going reverse. What are we doing first?
Race 6, Maya.
Okay.
It is race 6, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I put them in reverse in here, so it's my...
That's okay. So, look, I've got Global Glamour leading if it wants to. John, you probably know more about this.
Yeah, well, it's funny the way it's worked out. You got the leaders are in 1, 2 and 3.
Pretty much, and
so,
out wide you've got...
Yeah, well, if Daisy Doom gets across, I'll give up. So these sort of 3 horses, I'm a Star, sort of like Global Glamour, will work it out. And I think they'll all sort of just kick up and have a look, and then I think they'll sort it out between them.
I think Daisy Doom probably comes across trying to at least find a position.
Yeah, and I think you've shown before that he doesn't really when he sat 3 wide, 2 starts back. He's not a horse that's going to press for the front. He'll definitely try and push early to get across, but he's not going to.
And not get trapped by some of these other runners here.
Yeah, that's right.
Silent Sedition, I thought, maps really well here.
Yeah, well, it lobs to just sit on the back of Global Glamour and let the race unfold and understand that Global Glamour is going to take it wherever it wants to go. And if it doesn't, it's going to end up in a good spot regardless.
Now, conditions tomorrow, probably good for us about the worst we'll see, providing we don't get too much rain. But based on the predictions, south-southwest around about 25 kilometres an hour. Not likely to impact or be a real problem, but if it is a problem, you might find horses just off the inside is probably where it's better in the straight, and maybe with cover, a little bit of cover. So just keep an eye on that. This is race 6, so we'll have a bit of an indication by then, based on
what
that.
To tell Tim, so that's good.
I'll send you my
You give me the cheat sheet. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Look, in this market, I've done these markets for Betfair. You can go and have a look at the detail on there, including maps and prices and selections. But essentially, I've got Silent Sedition marked at and these are exact decimal prices, $6.18.
Yeah.
This is 100% market exact.
$6.18.
Yeah, I know. Global Glamour $7.10, Shoals $8.82, Shillelagh $12.50, who's an emergency. I'm not sure if he's going to run in this race.
Yeah, it's sort of well placed in both races off its last run.
Dixie Blossoms $14.50, Prompt Response $18, Danish Twist $18.70, and then out to $20.80 Fox Play, who's in the market against it. Daisy Doom $22.80, and we keep going. Look, I thought that in the race, Science Edition, who's having a third run back this prep, gets to the mile. It's a nice setup for her. She maps incredibly well. She was caught wide, no cover last time.
It looks like it's been ready. This is its race. Like, when she sort of jumped distances a few times last prep where they didn't know whether she was a 1200 or 1400. She sort of she came back and thinking won a Group 1 over the 12, but this time in it looks like this is her in her race.
I think so. She worked wide without cover against the bias and the pattern. And she looks really ready to win for me. She maps incredibly well, and I think $8.50 represents a decent premium to a $6 price line, around about a 3.5% or so premium in real terms. And I've suggested that
so what price is she? Sorry,
she's around about $8.59. So I'm thinking my recommendation was to invest 0.65% of your bank to win on her. A couple of other comments on some of these horses. Global Glamour, obviously talented mare. Normally improved second up, which is a plus. Got away with a win first up, but it was bias assisted. So there's a bit of a take-off for that. Looks the most likely leader, makes her own luck. Doesn't offer any value for me, but she's definite winning chance. Shoals, I think, is a horse that's got a very consistent record. One of the early favourites. Doesn't seem to be the right price for me.
Blinkers off.
Blinkers off, so I think maybe ridden quieter, which may not be the right thing
Not
to
in
do.
this race, no.
So that's why I'm a little bit against it, but I can see that I've got a third pick, so it's got to hope that $5 is the wrong price. Shillelagh got back and ran on last start against the pattern, against the bias, against the sectionals. Look, her get-back style is a problem from a betting perspective, but look, at the business end of this race...
Especially where, if there is a bit of overcooking, it's probably the
tempo,
one.
I'm thinking average to above average.
Yes, and if it's swooping a bit too, she's in the right spot.
Yeah, I've got a market around the $12.50. I think that's probably, I don't know where the market is.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Fox Play, like soft tracks, raced okay against Global Glamour. Her best rating, she's right in this, but I can't get it anywhere near the $8.50 in the current markets. As I said, I'm around about $20.
She was flat as heck last start. It was. I thought it was her race to win last start, and she raced like she wanted a mile, but she still didn't go anywhere near as good as horses like sort of Shillelagh.
That's right.
And there was another horse up the inside, which is not in this race, but it.
So I couldn't have Fox Play in front of Shillelagh.
No, it looks like she's. Yeah, it just looks like those couple of weight for age runs have taken it out of her.
Don't want to say layer, but
there's no lays in this race. I don't think. So I'm pretty. So I think.
So that's my wrap on the race. What do you think?
I think similar Silence Edition and Global Glamour are the two that are going to be in the right spot. Global Glamour second up at a mile is a bit of a problem, and there's no one backing it. I'm cheering it obviously because Tim's riding it, but and everything says she's going extra well. But I think they're the two that are going to be there and kick away. And then Shillelagh was one horse that I sort of identified as value, and I thought Heavens Above went really well in Sydney. Huge Tim Martin fan, no doubt in the world that this race has been on his radar, and that was a barrier trial the other day.
What price you mark it, John?
I've done no prices.
I got $27 Heavens Above. I thought actually there is a roughie in the race who I thought was raced inside. Is it Rose Hill a couple of runs ago in the absolute worst part of the track? Danish Twist.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
I've marked it $18.70, so 40-50 to 1.
Yeah, there's Swoop. There's another interesting.
It's not a hopeless. It's not a hopeless chance.
Yeah, I think if I was betting right now, my heart says Global Glamour. My head says back Silence Edition and make sure that Heavens Above and Shillelagh go around positive for me. And Shoals and Fox Play, I cannot get near.
Okay, so I think we've covered that.
Yeah, pretty close.
On to the Derby. I think this is a average above average tempo race. Only a straight run of about 200 metres to that first turn, so decisions will need to be made early. With the speed in the race, I think Grey Cliff can cross and lead from the middle good draw. Ace High won't want to give it up too easy.
No. I don't think they want to lead this time, but I reckon it's a perfect draw to box seat.
Box seat, yep. I think Weather With You
yeah.
can hold a position on the pace, and Beechwood, who can settle on pace also. The early market, when I did this race yesterday, was Spring Champion Stakes winner Ace High, $5.50 favourite. And then we've got a bunch of others in the marketplace as well. Obviously, a lot of these are going, they're all going to the 2,500 for the first time.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of conjecture in terms of speculation of who gets it, who doesn't, etc. But the horse I've come up with on top and suggesting punters might want to play is Tangled.
Mm-hmm.
We've got, runner-up for Ace High in the Spring Champion 2 runs ago. Had every chance last time around Caulfield. Winkers go on. Worked very well in those winkers on Tuesday, I believe. So that's that gear change thing that we were talking about before, where we know they're not just turning up the race day.
I know Ace High was a good, solid win, but for it to be 4 weeks between runs, this horse has had another run since. Second up, obviously the other day, that fence was so bloody good. It did a decent enough job.
Two 2,000 metre runs now stepping up.
And winkers. So it seems to have a lot better, set up platform and a chance to springboard again from Ace High. So just sort of,
and with
where
the
does it draw? Where does it draw?
It is drawn a little bit tricky. I think with the winkers, if it jumps well, this is a good map for Blake Shit to gamble.
His go is
and go forward.
His go is to have a go. So it could easily finish sort of first 6.
It could finish ugly, but I think it's worth a go. Tangled's out of Bramble Rose, who won a New Zealand Oaks, which is a positive.
Queensland,
I'm worried about the 28 days, which could tell late over the 2,500
on the toppy
for Ace High.
Yep.
Look, I've got 8 High second pick. I've got Tangled $5.40, Ace High $6.37, 8.06 main stage, Weather With You 10.10, 13.60 Grey Cliff, 14.40 Astoria, 17 Oceans 14, and 17.70 Sully, who I'm against. Also another horse that hasn't raced.
It's had blinkers off. What's it got? It's got It's got all sorts of bloody gear changes. Yeah. Offside blinker cut.
What have I said
about it? It's got a 1 couple. It's got
$8.50. I can't come into it.
No,
I could be wrong, but
Bowman's a freak, but he'd have to be.
Yeah, main stage was a really impressive looking win 2 runs back when it ran on. Did have a few things in its favour that day. The saddle slipped though on the run, interestingly. Yeah,
I've had a good talk because I was at the trials and asked old mate about it, Michael Walker, and he said, he's a bit cocky about his balance and all this crap. But I was like, no, seriously, how inconvenienced were you? And he said it's not as bad as if the shuttle shifts forward. Like when it gets up over their neck, it's much harder to control. When it goes back, he said I never really became unbalanced, so I might have overplayed that because I thought when I watched it, I was like, this thing's nearly lost it, nearly went straight off the flank. The saddle was nearly gone, and I thought, wow, this thing might be anything, but maybe not as bad as it looked.
Gets back from the wide gate, runs on, but from a betting point of view, I can see that it's a winning chance, but I can't have it. Grey Cliff, very lightly raced colt, 1 ease down by a big margin last time out. Slight query for me was that there was a massive on-pace leader advantage that day, and just wonder how much of its effort is built into the advantage it received under the bias. But look, it can lead and it can be in this race for a long way if you're looking at one at odds. 0.65% suggesting here for Tangled. Look, if you have to bet in a derby, then I think it's the horse. But for me, I'll be backing it, but I won't be having as much on it, simply because of the zeros on the board. All horses going to 20.
It's not a race, exactly, and he's got that 50-50 about whether he finds a spot too. I thought
I'd rather take less odds in the run.
That's one of those. The fold goes, isn't it? It's one of the fold goes. If he doesn't find a spot, fold.
Maybe that's it. Little punters. Maybe that's what you do is back Tangled. If it jumps and finds the position, take it. You've got plenty of time.
Hold your bet. Yeah, absolutely.
If you think it starts to over race or fire up in the winkers or do a few things wrong,
caught wide, boom, out.
Hold your bet and watch it win by 2.
I was interested in Weather With You. The same thing. I fell into this trap last year when they went 1,000 miles an hour in the Geelong Derby trial, and the form didn't stand up. They ran really fast time.
Very solid on pace win. But
so it sat outside. I think it was about a 10 length above average. Time.
Had blinkers first time. So that might have been the thing that fired
sharpened it up.
Peak. But there was an advantage to be up there.
Okay. So that will. And then I looked at its last run to see whether what it did. And it finished alongside Esterac. who then came out at Caulfield and had that mad. But that was the day that Tangled sat third the fence.
Yes.
And whatever that horse was not in, Cliff led all the way, and it actually was probably made the most ground from the furthest back. So they finished alongside each other. Weatherfew's come out and won the Geelong trial. This thing's come out and run on well against the buyer. So I just found those two as the value plays, and I can agree.
Esterak you got in there.
Esterak and. I thought Esterak was a 1200 metre horse until I went back and did this form. So now I'm thinking, well, this is what scares me about the Derby. But the two value horses I could find, Esterak's easy 20 to 1. I'm not sure what price he's on. I know what you've got him marked.
$32.
So I think he's a possible improver going to Flemington.
Yeah, okay.
Whether with you ties in with that form, and I cannot have any horse that's 24, 28 days between runs going up 500. So Ace High and Sully, I'm the same as you. Well, I know you're not penning, you've got Ace High second pick, but Sully I'm against it with the gear changes, and I've got to be against Ace High being hard in the mark. I've got to back Tangled to beat it, and the two that I'm interested in at odds, I don't even know what price, and Weather with you and Esterak.
Yeah. Well, Weather with you, I've said he is definitely one with each weight claims.
Yeah.
I got it marked at $10.10, so 9 to 1, and it'll be better than that, I think.
And he looks like he's going to get a softer run this time. Like if that grey thing goes out, Grey Cliff goes out and gives him a bit of cover, he looks to sit just
this will be race
right
7,
in behind.
so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, what's going on by then?
What's going on as far as buyers, if any. Okay, so we're on to the we'll call it
Cantala, whatever you want to call it, the mile group one.
Saturday, what have I got here? Distinct lack of early speed makes it really problematical to assess.
Terrific, isn't it?
I'm thinking a horse like a Ratty Pole from gate 11 crosses to lead, potentially. Yep. Dibiani can race closer. Torsten Stardom and Egg Tart shouldn't be too far away on the map. Slow to below average tempo.
Tom Melbourne was outside of fast speed last time, so you just imagine he bounces there somewhere too. He was the one who sat outside that the race that Torsten Stardom won. He was outside of fast tempo.
Yeah,
there,
probably
he's
not
probably there by default. I don't think they want him to be there, but he's probably going to end up there because he's just anyhow.
Tom Melbourne, Lucky Hustler, equal favourites $5.50. Second line, Torsten Stardom, Egg Tart $6.50. Look, the horse I'm going for here is my third pick, Ratapole. I'm suggesting at big odds might run a race.
Tell me about Ratapole. I don't know the horse. Who is Ratapole?
Lightly raced 5-year-old, third up, having its second Australian campaign. Did a good job. It sat wide without cover, loomed up to win the Seymour Cup, and just got held out by the horses that cleared away. The third horse, Mossendale, won the Sale Cup the other day.
Yeah, so that's right. Yep.
A little bit of form out of that race.
Well back too, so it's obviously a strong form line like that. They backed Mossendale like there was no settling the other day. Yeah.
Well, those three, the winner and Mossendale and Ratipole, cleared out from the rest.
Okay.
Prospect of a soft lead tomorrow. Could be in this for a long way, and could run a much better race than what the market suggests. I've marked it third pick at $7.87. I think it's currently about $16, $18 ish on Betfair.
Yeah,
so
I like that.
Very small bet. 0.4% if you're betting to my prices on it. I've got Lucky Hustler marked at $5.50, Egg Tart $7.79, Ratapole $7.87, $8.60 Tom Melbourne, $9.59 Torsten Stardom, then out to $13.30 All Our Roads, $16.90 Dibignani, $17.20 Sovereign Nation. Shillelagh I think is better suited in the other race.
In the other race, if it runs,
$20.10, and then very wide after that. So we made the case for Ratapole at good odds. Lucky Hustler, look, it's got the highest lead-up rating leading into this race. It won the Crystal Mile.
What about that? Like, I was on track. I've never seen a horse more home from back in the field, further out in my life. I've never seen a horse truck into the race. Was it a strong race?
Really
I
likes
didn't get a good enough chance.
Strong race. Really likes Moonee Valley.
Loves it, yeah.
Going into this race fifth up and a slow tempo, impossible to get me excited.
Okay.
This horse doesn't often put two together, but definitely entitled to be favoured.
And look where he's drawn. Like, where's he going to be?
Back.
Blake Shin.
Who knows?
He could go forward. He could go forward. Yeah, you never know.
You never know. But that's the problem with these races where there is no speed on paper. So we get a bunch of connections going.
That's right.
We're going forward. And
there's no real adaptable horse where you go, well, I don't really care. Wherever he lobs, I want to be on him.
That's right.
That's so something like what you've done is identify something, a bit of odds that looks a chance of getting away with a
soft lead.
They
don't pressure.
Yeah, it's worth the risk.
Definite winning chance. Won the Oaks both in Queensland and South Australia, and definite winning chance, but 550 not for me. Tom Melbourne, bit too short at 550.
Great.
Definite chance. Tore some stardom. Often has trouble putting 2 runs together. Was suited that day in terms of the fast slow pace.
58.5 middle draw. Where's he going to get to? He looks like he's
650, bit skinny for me. I'm going to have something on Radipole at good odds.
Okay. Can't knock yours. Can't really find too much. Like, everything's kind of obvious. Toast and Stardom was good last start. Lucky Hustler comes in very good form. Both of them don't look that well placed here, as in map and where they're going to get to. Doesn't look like an ideal race. Tom Melbourne's just a nightmare. Egg Tart looks to be the most overrated horse in the world at the moment, but definitely has the ability to win. Don't want to lay it. Shillelagh, as you said, set up well for this race, but better set up in the mare's race, so I hope she goes there. On All Our Roads is the other Waller horse who is similarly disadvantaged at its last start. And
but racing really well, that horse too.
Racing well, and we don't really know how good it is, and I think it just looks like it's had 2 barrier trials getting ready for, I assume, this race. So this is the biggest no-bet race I've ever seen, unless you're getting 10 or 20 to 1 and you're having a tiny bet, which is
exactly what
you're doing, and even better that you've tried to identify a horse that looks like he might be advantaged in the run.
Of those few horses that I've mentioned, Science Edition, it's not a day for best.
Yes.
Science Edition is the best setup, I think, in terms of map and preparation, going to the 1600 and the conditions of the race. So
and adaptable too. So it doesn't matter if the fence is good, it'll be there. If it's run on, it can sit one off and get to the right part. It should be It should be finding the right spot no matter how the track's playing.
It'll be a good result for me.
Yes.
Okay, so punters, I hope that wasn't too much to endure. You can follow us on Twitter at TPAOZ. You can get me at ratingstowin.com.au. My email address for questions for the show is paul@thepuntersacademy.com.au, and of course John's service for Sydney, you can get him at racingwatch.com.au or Twitter. You can find you on as well.
Melbourne Cup Tuesday, everyone will be asking. Paul's doing something for Betfair, which will be available. I'm sure he'll tweet something out. Or
we won't do a show next week only because of the hectic week of racing. But please start sending questions through for even now early in the week.
Prepare the better.
For the start of the following week.
Perfect.
And so I'll be covering the Melbourne Cup, the Oaks and the Emirates next week for Betfair, so that's on the hub. Great resource for punters that go into not just look at my stuff, but look at good quality material from other people on there as well.
Even people contribute that they get, like outside punters, like home people that no one would know. Their information's quite interesting a lot of the time as well. It's great. There's a lot of stuff on there that's really interesting.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, thanks guys.
Cheers.